Welcome to Career Bits, the podcast of the University Career Center at UNC Charlotte. I'm Jay, and today I'm going to be talking to two very interesting people. First, Ahron Pittman, the CEO of Presentation Systems South, PSS. Ahron, thank you so much for coming on Career Bits.
Yes, thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Matida Sanneh, who holds a BA in Child Development and an MS in Management from UNC Charlotte, and who is an intern with PSS, and that's turning into a full-time opportunity for you. Matida, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me as well.
So Ahron, I want to start with you and your role as a local entrepreneur and a business person who has PSS has a very interesting place in our community and what you do. So tell a little bit about what PSS does and then your relationship with recruiting at UNC Charlotte and how you met Matida.
Yeah, for sure. At PSS, we provide education technology and content to America's public schools, K through 12. Our mission is to create meaningful and effective learning experiences, which is exactly the base mission of a teacher. And so we wanted to align our mission as closely as possible to theirs because, we want to be with them in the trenches. So that's broadly what we do. PSS has been has been in the Charlotte area and has been a company for 26 years. Our products and services are in 2,300 schools, which is about 2% of the schools in the US. And certainly with the last year we've had, we see massive opportunities for growth and opportunities for us to help really arm teachers with the tools they need to succeed in several different environments now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine that your phone has been rather busy the last 11 to 12 months for sure. So Matida, tell us a little bit about your experience at UNC Charlotte and how you found out about PSS.
Yeah, so overall, I've had a great experience at UNC Charlotte, both undergrad and currently in graduate school. And so one of the advantages of the program is that we have a career advisor, which is one of the things that really attracted me to the program, just because I'm trying to figure out what to do in life. That's how I felt when I was entering the program. So with meeting with Robin, had an appointment with her, and at the time, again, I just didn't know where I was headed in terms of my career. And I just knew that I had a great passion for education and supporting students and supporting teachers. And so at that time, I was searching for a job, something that would be flexible with me currently being in school. And I expressed all of those concerns with her. I felt really comfortable with doing that. And she's like, oh, okay, you have a background in education. I know somebody. His name is Ahron. I'll connect you to. She sent me an email of a posting. It was a position in the warehouse. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this is still related to what I want to do. It was something new to me. It got me really excited just because it was outside of the classroom, but still related to the classroom. And so I just went for it. I sent my resume through email and had my fingers crossed. And then I heard back from Ahron and also Renee as well. They were the first two people who introduced me to PSS, had an interview. It was amazing. And again, I applied for a different position than what I'm in right now. And so I'm really grateful for this position because during the interview, it was very spontaneous in the best way. We were already bouncing off ideas. And then once my background in education was taken account for, it was like, oh, wait, you know what? I think that you'll be great for a completely different role. So it just went in a completely different direction than what I was expecting. And I'm just really happy to be a part of PSS. So.
Now, that's a great story about putting your social capital and your networking in action. And Ahron, I want to come back to you for a minute. I've known about PSS really since I got here at UNC Charlotte. You've been posting positions with us and things, but you also developed relationships with folks like Robin Boswell and other people like that, obviously, who would keep you top of mind. As an employer, why was that important to do in addition to posting your positions in the usual spaces?
Yeah. I mean, this isn't a profound statement, but to me, all of business is people, right? Is relationships. I think relationships are kind of at the center of our lives. And oftentimes with business unit, you literally say, oh, this isn't a friendship or this isn't a relationship, this is business. And that's actually the exact wrong way to look at life, is that, the institution of relationships just cuts through everything. And so if you believe to be successful in business, you need great relationships and great people. Me being new to the area, I moved here from the coast, from Wilmington. I knew as soon as I got here, I wanted to plug into the big, great educational institutions, because that's, an obvious focal point of talent, right? I mean, talent can be found outside of the university and outside of academia, but your stated mission is to develop talent. So why would I not start there? And so I did start to reach out, to folks like Robin and others, her colleagues at other area universities, because I want to develop that relationship. So that's kind of theoretically how I kind of look at business and what led me to do that. Practically, I had already seen the impact that getting talent from the local university can do for my time at Encino, which is based in Wilmington. And the company is now over 1,200 employees, but I would argue that probably 10-15% of our employees came directly from UNCW, right? And when I first got there, I was like, wow, this company seems really young. Like, what do these undergrads know? We're gonna have to invest a lot of time training them, and it's just, can we just pay a bit more money and hire more experienced people? But actually, when we ran those experiments and whenever we did them, we actually got better results by getting someone with that energy, fresh from school. Sure, you could argue there's a bit more of an upfront kind of skills training, uploading, learning curve piece to it. But I honestly saw people who were 26, 27 out managing people who were 36, 37, because they had been at the company for 4 years. So they'd come up with the company and now we're managing teams. And I was like, wow, she's got it. Like, so the ROI, even from the company, if you just want to look at it, from a business aspect, the ROI from the company is, I think you did the right thing by society by helping introduce people into the workforce the right way. But then B, you've got this young, now they have the experience of about a 32, 33, 35-year-old, but they got the energy of a 27, 28-year-old. And I think that was a huge part of that company's success. And I hope to replicate that here.
That's a fantastic example. And Matida, again, you're living what Ahron is talking about, is building those relationships and things. So you were looking for jobs in the same places or whatever, but you hadn't had a conversation with Robin Boswell in the college business, who works with our graduate students. And you really just laid out what you were looking for. And from that interaction, you got that direct referral. So what was it like as you prepared for the interview and things? And then when it took a different direction and they were starting to interview you for a job you didn't apply for, how did you deal with that on the fly like that?
Yeah, so with getting ready for the interview, I just thought about what I could contribute, and I thought about my strengths, and I thought about what I'm hoping to learn, just because with anything new, even if I already have related experience, I'm always looking for a challenge and something that I can also get out of it. And so I kind of combined all of those things and kind of just went over like the generic interview questions just to kind of get the jitters out. But I don't know, whenever it gets to interviews, maybe it's just the nerves, but I never feel 100% ready. I'm always kind of like, I don't know, not second guessing, but I'm like, okay, what if they ask something completely different? I don't know. So I just really focus on like what I can contribute. I focus on like backing up my resume and staying true to myself, bringing my personality, just because I want to relate to who I'm going to interview for. So that's kind of how I got ready for the interview. And when it came to the actual interview and it going in a different direction, it was a great feeling. Again, like I said before, I was really nervous and I'm like, okay, what if something completely different happens? But I wasn't expecting that like at all. And so it was great because I felt like I was already a part of the team. I didn't even have the job yet. And I was like, okay, I want to work here. Like I walked away from it. I'm like, yeah, I want to work here.
I find it ironically humorous that the most thing you were worried about was they're going to ask me something I'm not prepared for, and that's exactly what they did. And then you obviously did something right because Aaron, y'all hired her. So what was it that you saw in her, Aaron, that you realized, like, you know what, this warehouse position, that's not so much for her. Maybe we can put her over here. And then I want you to speak to what Matida said there about making her feel like she was already part of the team even before she'd been offered the job, because that's so profound and impactful, and says a lot about the interview in your organization.
It is interesting hearing it from her perspective. I was like, man, she probably thinks we're nuts over here. But Renee is our director of education, who leads a longtime educator, educational leader and visionary, and she leads the content and how we approach the market. And so we got the a huge thank you to Robin and everyone on her team, because she got the word out, and then I was in touch with Matida within a day or two, and then we looked at her resume and we said, wow, she's got clear educational experience, right? Has classroom time, has been trained in a certified educator at an education company. So we're like, this has got to be happening for a reason. We can't, although we need someone for the warehouse, we've got to step back and take a look at it. And I think the way both Renee and I look at it is we've got a very clear vision of where the company needs to go and the things that we need to do, right? On one hand, on this side is a list, boom, 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 boom. And then on this side is always a list of who you have in their skill sets. And you can almost just strip away the names. You just take all right, this person, these are the 3 or 4 things they like doing and they get energy doing and they're really good at it. So then you would have these 2 lists. And I think in management, your job is to match those lists, right? Which is why I'm not like huge in the job descriptions. Like Matida and I were actually co-authoring her job description now, because it's more like, look, here's the value we want to add. Like, okay, we're a business and we're going to scale, so we need an org chart. And we need to codify responsibilities so everyone's clear. But more so, let's always remember what the mission is. So a long way of saying it was clear that her qualifications and her attitude combined with that interview, we were very excited because we were taught, we gave her a tour of the warehouse, because like that's the position we advertised. And then we went and talked, and we're like, hey, we asked some questions, I think, we talked. And then we're like, hey, we want to kind of take this in a different direction. We want to be respectful. We don't want to seem like we're doing a bait and switch, but I just explained what we just went over. Hey, here's what we're thinking. Here's what we really need to have done. We don't know what this really looks like on the fly. And she also had that same energy, which is probably why she felt like she was already part of the team, because it was just the energy of the conversation and it flowed. And there's 3 people that were like, okay, yeah, no, I see that part of the puzzle. Like, we're still putting the puzzle together, but we were just on our end, we were just open enough to like put the pieces out on the table and say, let's try to make this thing work. So that was a great experience, and we both left really convinced that, like, we wanted to be supportive of her finishing her master's, and then expose her to enough of the company, because I ultimately view an interview as 2-way. Like I kind of see things differently, and that could feel weird to some people. And it doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily not try to execute on my vision, but it means I should give them an opportunity to opt out. That doesn't mean either of us are bad or good. Just let's just know up front. So trying to expose that about our culture, and then having her kind of reciprocate the energy, we left excited, like, all right, let's support her through her master's, expose her to different parts of the company, and then if she still believes there's an area where she can add value, the spot's hers.
So Matida, as you came on board and started working in that internship, What were things that you did to feel like you were contributing, adding value to it? And then how did that lead to you being able to basically write and create a position for yourself with an organization? That's a very unique experience.
Yes. I just want to start off by saying that that flexibility in respect to my school, and then also with being able to share what I'm interested in within a job, I think that that also has really made me want to be a part of PSS just because of um, that team environment is a welcoming environment. And so, yeah, when I got started with my internship, I started out on the content team. And so that related to my bachelor's degree, creating resources, looking up standards, and just getting more acclimated with the education system. And then I've transitioned into customer success. And so that's related to my graduate degree as of now. Even while I'm taking my classes, I'll think about certain things like, oh, okay, like that's something that we would do at PSS. Just kind of to apply that to real life situations. That also helps me learn, just to make it stick, definitely. So yeah, now I'm doing the customer success, relating to our customers, trying to increase that engagement. And so I feel like I've had the best of both worlds. And I feel like with my full-time position, I will be a jack of all trades, right? Like I started out with education and now I have that marketing and that sales side to combine both of my degrees.
So Tina, as we wrap things up here, what would be things that you would provide in terms of advice, not only to fellow graduate students or new graduate students come up, but even undergrads who are getting ready to start entering into the workforce in that internship phase as a way to build their experiences, hopefully toward opportunities?
I would say to trust the process. Starting out in undergrad, I had different ideas of what I wanted to do, switched my major a couple times. Like I thought I had everything figured out in undergrad. Like, okay, after these 4 years, I'm going into this career, and it changed, and that's okay. And so just trusting that process and knowing that, just finding that comfort in reaching out to people. If you have similar interest or if you have a question, someone is already doing it, or even if it's a mentor, building that relation, going back to building those relationships is very important. Um, it's the center of our lives. And just finding that comfort, being yourself whenever you reach out and network. I think that, when it comes to searching for jobs, it can be intimidating. And especially if you thought you had it figured out and then you don't have it figured out and then you're lost and you're just sitting there trying to figure it out. So yeah, definitely just building those relationships and just trusting that it will align based off of your passions.
And Aaron, two questions for you. One, again, advice towards other students who will be entering into that space, but also to your fellow employers out there who are doing recruiting and engaging with universities like UNC Charlotte on good ways to establish talent pipelines and find unique folks like Matida to put into work for you.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, two-part question, right? On one on each side of the table. On the student side, I think my advice, and I could give this advice A, as someone who's been there, but then also B, now as an employer, and the advice actually may be somewhat different, but as someone who's been there, and I care more about you landing somewhere where you're going to be successful than my chance of recruiting you. I think you want to be explorers. I think you want to assume an explorer mindset and have conversations. And the only way, I think one of the quickest ways to be an explorer is to say, okay, here's what I really want to do. Here's where I think my hot spot is, and then stress test that assumption by doing something, maybe not exactly the direct opposite, although that would be a stress test, but even something adjacent to it. That's just like, it should feel exploration should feel slightly uncomfortable. Right. And if you do that, look, you're in your early 20s. You've got absolutely zero to lose. I would tell you the same advice if you're in your 30s or 40s. The mythology is the secret to life is you still have nothing to lose, because your happiness and your fit should be your cultural fit with the organization should be number one. So explore, talk to all sorts of people. It's a big world out there. It's a very big world. I left the military at 30 and was at grad school in my early 30s, and I was like, whoa, it's a big world, like, you know. So trust me, you go out and explore. That'd be my advice on the student side. On the employer side, I do have a lot of advice, because I do think in business, employers, we get this wrong probably more than we get it right. And look, what I'm ultimately trying to, like, I'm trying to build a company that adds a lot of value with our customers. If you do that, I think the economics will take care of itself. So we add a lot of value, we'll be economically successful. Actually, the thing I take the most pride in, and I think is actually my moral responsibility, is also to build a company with a healthy culture that adds to the lives of the people that work there beyond just money and finances, right? That's a part of it for sure. But I do want to build a culture that's one of the premier places for people to work at Charlotte. And if that's your goal, as opposed to just kind of filling out job recs in an org chart, then I think you're just gonna behave, you know, you're gonna behave differently, you know, than probably the vast majority of employers, and that'll probably be to your benefit.
Well stated, Aaron. Matida, Aaron, thank you so much for being on Career Bits and providing such great information. And I think you summed it up for us well there, Aaron. Using that explorer mindset for success and building relationships as you're going throughout your career development is the great way to operate. I think always, you know, I've told students for a long time, and what we tell students in the Career Center is always be focused on what you're doing now and what you should be doing next. And having just those two steps in mind and having plans for them will help you prepare for what is coming up down the line. And don't forget that the Career Center and all of our Career Center partners, people like Robin Boswell and other folks that you've seen and heard about on this show, are here to help. So make sure you use those resources available. You can connect with PSS and Aaron if you'd like, looking at the link on the bottom of the screen there. Certainly encourage you to do so. And of course, follow these folks on LinkedIn too, because they are both fantastic professionals in our area and are great to reach out and talk with. So Ahron, Matida, thank you again for being a part of Career Bits. You can follow the happenings of the Career Center on our website, career.uncc.edu, or on social media at Niner Careers. We'll talk to you again soon.